There's a silence that doesn't mean emptiness. It's the hush that comes before the symphony begins, the quiet tension in the air just before rain. The stillness of your life right now may not be a pause, but a preparation. You've felt it, the sudden disinterest in things that used to thrill you, the way old goals feel hollow now, even as new dreams remain unnamed. You're not who you used to be, but you're not quite sure who you're becoming. It's disorienting. Some days, it feels like you're unraveling. Other days, like you're on the verge of something enormous, but invisible. This isn't chaos. This is the in-between. The soul doesn't announce transformation with fanfare. It whispers through discomfort, fatigue, strange dreams, and sudden urges to change everything. You're not lost. You're shedding. And by the end of this video, you'll know the deeper signs, not the surface-level motivation we're often sold, but the soul-level symbols that reveal you're not breaking down. You're being reborn. And as Jung understood, that rebirth doesn't begin in clarity. It begins in the shadow. Carl Jung believed that the most important journeys in our life do not begin with certainty. They begin in dissolution. He called this the process of individuation, a sacred unraveling of all the roles, masks, and expectations we've absorbed, so that our true self can finally emerge. And the trigger for this process? Often, it's the discomfort you're feeling now, the subtle sense that life is asking more of you, but not in ways you can fully explain. Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain, because the old self has to die for the real one to be born." This isn't about success. It's not about finally getting it all together. The best stage of your life is not measured by what you achieve, but by what you integrate. When the shadow is no longer feared, but welcomed. When the inner child is no longer exiled, but held. When your identity is no longer a performance, but a presence. This is what it means to enter the luminous stage, where your outer life finally begins to reflect the soul you've been carrying all along. So, if your life feels uncertain, strange, or full of subtle shifts, you might not be lost. You might be standing on the threshold. Let's look at the 4 signs that your soul is preparing you for its most radiant chapter yet. Sign number 1. The things that once satisfied you no longer do it begins quietly. A subtle disinterest in the things that once thrilled you. A job that once gave you purpose now feels like a performance. Conversations feel hollow. Achievements fall flat. Even pleasures that used to light you up no longer reach you in the same way. It's like waking up and realizing you've outgrown your favorite childhood clothes, not because they were wrong, but because you've simply outlived them. Jung would call this the beginning of ego detachment. The false self, the persona we wear to survive, is beginning to loosen its grip. The masks you wore to belong, to please, to prove, they start to itch. What once fed your identity now feels artificial. You're not broken. You're simply being emptied of what no longer reflects who you're becoming. And yet, this shift isn't always graceful. There's often a shadow phase, a stretch of disillusionment. Apathy may creep in, restlessness, even grief, because letting go of the old doesn't yet give you a clear view of the new. You're in between identities, too far from the old to go back, too unsure of the new to move forward with clarity. But this discomfort is sacred. It means something deeper is emerging. Your soul is making room. What used to nourish your ego can no longer feed your essence. The hunger is still there, but now it demands something more meaningful, more aligned, more true. This is not a loss, it's a molting, a shedding of an old self that can no longer carry the weight of your awakening. You may feel emptier, but you are more honest. You may feel lonelier, but you are closer to truth. So if life feels strangely silent, strangely dull, don't rush to fill it. Something deeper is arriving, and before it does, your soul is clearing the space. Let it. Sign number 2. You're meeting parts of yourself you've spent years avoiding. It starts as a whisper, a strange emotion, a dream, a reaction you can't explain. Then suddenly, it's like a once-locked room inside you creaks open and light spills into places long kept in shadow. You find yourself standing in front of emotions you thought you buried, memories you'd forgotten, parts of you swore were gone. This is the moment Jung called shadow integration. The repressed self, the aspects of your personality, memory, and emotion that you learned to hide for safety or acceptance, begin to rise, not to sabotage you, not to destroy your progress, but to be seen, to be loved, to be returned to the whole. It's confusing, even painful. You might feel more emotional than usual. Triggers intensify. Things you thought you were over come back louder. And perhaps the most disorienting part, you feel less in control, as if the neat version of you worked so hard to become is slipping through your fingers. But this isn't regression, it's reintegration. Your soul is not asking you to go backward, it's asking you to go inward, to welcome home the parts of you that once had to be exiled for you to survive. The angry one, the needy one, the scared, wild, dreaming, grieving one. These inner returns can look like discomfort on the outside, but what's really happening is wholeness. The fragmentation is ending. You are no longer willing to live in pieces. What you used to call breakdowns are actually breakthroughs in disguise. And the truth is, you're not falling apart, you're falling inward. And that is where your power has always lived, in the quiet center of your authentic self. The one that doesn't need fixing, just remembering. So if you're facing yourself more deeply than ever before, don't turn away. You're not being tested, you're being reunited with the parts of your soul that are finally ready to come home. Sign number 3. Your life feels like a series of strange synchronicities. You glance at the clock, 11:11. A song plays that echoes a thought you just had. A stranger utters a sentence that feels like it was meant for your soul alone. You dream of something obscure, and days later, it unfolds in waking life. These are not random. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that have no apparent causal link, yet feel too precise to ignore. According to Jung, these moments occur when there is alignment between the conscious and unconscious mind. When your inner world shifts, the outer world responds, not logically, but symbolically. These synchronicities are the soul's breadcrumbs. They mark the presence of the self, the archetype of wholeness, taking a more active role in your life. When synchronicity increases, it often means you're approaching a threshold, a new path, a major decision, a spiritual upgrade. You are not lost, you're being led. And the signs? They won't always make sense to the rational mind, but they will speak directly to something deeper, a gut feeling, a sense of recognition, a subtle, sacred knowing. This is not about magical thinking, it's about symbolic living. When you live from the unconscious, when you integrate your shadow, listen to your dreams, follow your inner truth, the external world mirrors that depth back to you. What once seemed random becomes rhythmic. What once felt chaotic becomes meaningful. So if your life suddenly feels like it's speaking in riddles and signs, pay attention. That's not confusion, that's communication. The soul doesn't shout, it whispers, through patterns, poetry, numbers, symbols, and moments that shimmer with resonance. Follow them. The path may not be clear, but it will be real, and it will be yours. You are no longer wandering aimlessly. You are answering a call, a quiet, persistent call, toward the version of life you were always meant to live. Sign number 4. You're both excited and terrified. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a great cliff. The view is breathtaking. The air is alive. Your heart beats faster, not in panic, but in recognition. You know something is waiting for you just beyond the edge. And still, your feet hesitate. This is the paradox of transformation. Carl Jung wrote that all true change is preceded by a symbolic death, the death of old identities, outdated roles, false safety. And with that death comes a trembling aliveness, fear and excitement, coiled together in the same breath. This emotional cocktail is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're right on time. Because fear, in moments like this, is not always a warning. Sometimes it's a threshold. It's the final resistance before a breakthrough. The ego wants to retreat to comfort. It will disguise its panic as logic, whisper things like, "You're not ready," or maybe later. But your soul is already halfway across the cliff, calling back to you. This is the sacred duality of rebirth. It thrills you and terrifies you in equal measure. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know it matters. When you're stepping into a new chapter, one aligned with your true self, don't expect to feel calm. Expect to feel alive. Expect shaking hands and a pounding heart. Expect to feel like you're leaving behind everything you thought you needed, only to discover what you truly are. So if your dreams feel too big, too strange, too beautiful, and too impossible all at once, good. That means they weren't born from your ego. They were born from your soul. And your soul doesn't play small. This isn't the end of who you were. It's the beginning of who you've always been. If you're trembling, you're awakening. If you're afraid, but still stepping forward, you're not failing. You're transforming. Stand at the edge. Feel the wind. Let the fear come and walk anyway. Because what's waiting on the other side is you. As you stand on the edge, afraid, exhilarated, ready, remember this. Transformation is not a concept. It's an embodiment. Take a moment. Feel the air around you. Feel your feet on the earth. Place your hand on your heart. Whisper softly, "I release the life that no longer fits. I trust the becoming I cannot yet name." Now breathe. Not for who you've been, but for who is quietly rising within. Then journal this. What have I outgrown? What new part of me is emerging, even if I don't fully understand it? What am I afraid to leave behind, and why? And tonight, light a candle, not in mourning, but in honor. You're not closing a chapter. You're answering a call, not to be who you were, but to become who you were always meant to be. You are not behind. You are becoming. The shedding, the silence, the aching you feel. It's not regression. It's resurrection. Your soul is stretching. Your path is shifting. And the you that's arriving, they've been waiting for this. The best stage of your life won't begin in a spotlight. It begins here, in the quiet courage to let go, to listen inward, to trust the unseen becoming. If you feel scared and alive at the same time, you're not lost. You're on the verge. This isn't the end. It's the edge. And just beyond it, a life that finally matches your soul. A life that feels like home. This is Echoes of Psyche, where endings are thresholds, and the next version of you is already rising.